and welcome to the Engerati studio. I am Carol Stimmel at European Utility Week 2016, and with me today is Rick Mongeau. Rick is the Senior Vice President, Global Sales and Business Development with FirstFuel. So FirstFuel, I've been familiar with FirstFuel for a while, but for our viewers here, I know you describe yourself as a customer intelligence platform. Tell me a little bit about that, and then we're going to dig into what you're doing in Europe and maybe even across North America.
Sure, Carol. Well, specifically, we deliver customer engagement solution to utilities for their business customers. Okay, and that involves a number of solutions, primarily geared towards delivering very relevant information to their business customers to be used regarding their usage of energy information.
Okay, so customer intelligence, we've been talking about customer relationships for several years here. It's a key part of trying to build trust where it wasn't really necessary before for a utility provider pushing electrons down the wire to have a lot of trust. You got your electricity, the lights went on. Now it matters, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that consumers are prosumers now.
Right.
And in some places, where you and I live too, there's some choice in the matter. So I know you're working with utilities in North America, and now you're in Europe. So what are the key challenges that you think they're facing at the moment, and how you're working with those challenges?
Sure, that's a great question, Carol. Let's talk Europe for a minute, because that's where we are right now.
Right.
And of course, in Europe, most of the markets today are either deregulated or becoming deregulated. And what that translates to is, in fact, all the companies we've spoken with so far at this conference are confirming that their customers are under attack from competitors. And so the number one goal that they're stating to us is we need to retain our customer base. And we don't want churn, and we need a solution that provides our ability to keep those customers. And once we actually keep those customers, what we're also struggling with, and this is the utilities talking to us about their business customers, once we keep those customers, we need to deal with another problem that we have, which is our basic commodity business is in decline, and we need to sell alternative products and solutions to offset that and grow our revenues. And we've heard as much as 40% of our revenues could be coming from non-commodity sales at this point.
Sales and services, yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's a funny thing when all of a sudden utilities are in competitive markets having to deal with competition, of course, but now competition also comes from the consumers themselves, so it's really unique. And when we talk about changing the business model, services is a key part of that. And what I'm hearing you say also is that data is a key part of enabling that new level of customer intelligence.
Well, very much so, very much so. So the customers that we're dealing with are the business customers of the
Right.
utilities. Just to finish what I was saying, and then we move to the data, which is we also, what we deliver helps do this in a much more cost-effective manner, because what we're delivering is a digital customer engagement, a website that allows the business customers to come in, and this is where the data kicks in, that the utilities are looking for deep data analytics, using that business customer's data to feed back to them how they're using their data, and then what they can do in a more efficient manner to either make some type of operational change in what they're doing, or actually, and gets to where the revenues are, is purchase either something like a lighting or something that would make their cooling or heating systems more efficient in order to, with an actual payback period.
Okay, well, walk me through it, actually. Walk me
Sure.
through, if I'm making an investment in your digital engagement program or tool, what am I experiencing with you as a product user or service
Sure.
user? And then we can talk about the customer side.
Sure.
Yeah.
So the customer of the utility, and we target anything from small to mid-size with this particular solution. So it could be something like a pizza shop, but it could also be the facility manager of a university campus, the facility manager of an office campus, okay? And they would receive an outbound communication of some sort from the utility. And it might be an email that says something like, your bill this month is looking like it's going to be considerably higher than past months. Okay,
So a little bit of So looking over their past behaviors as well as normal behaviors with others. Okay.
Exactly. Yes. And so the business the business person who sees this, frankly, the first time they see it might say of interest. Second time they see it says, I'm going to really look into this. Mm-hmm. And so they then go to the website that they've been given a link to, and now they register and they take a real look at this, and they can start to see past usage, what's going on right now. They start to get a little concerned and say, gee, why is my energy higher than it's been in the past? And they start to be given examples of what the causes are and what they might be able to do about it.
Okay.
So some of the things you were talking about at the very beginning of our conversation was engagement, okay? Mm-hmm. And what this leads to is actions by the business user for the utility where they actually might make a purchase. So this gets to bottom line gains for the utility, but it also gets to a much tighter relationship between the two, where they're saying, gee, this utility is taking care of me.
So they see a partnership opportunity.
Very much so, very much so. And this all gets back to now under a competitive environment where they might get a call from a competitor who's offering to save a few pennies per unit of measure, and they're like, well, I'm not sure that's of interest to me right now because I have a real relationship. And it's not clear it's all that conscious in their thought process, but that is what takes place.
Okay, so from the business side, are you doing this on my behalf? If I'm in the utility, if I am your stakeholder, FirstFuel stakeholder in the utility, how am I working with you?
Sure, that's a great question. So we provide, I think, two real capabilities to the utilities. One is the software itself, and at this point, with the we have over 30 clients worldwide, and we're pretty much perceived at this point as the leader in the space on a worldwide basis. And the software is perceived as the most technically competent software in the market. But we do much more than that, because much more than the software is the actual people in the process involved. Mm-hmm. So the interaction we have with the utility is those who move forward with us. We sit down with them and we say, hey, let's lay out a plan to make this successful. And there's two major buckets, and it's fairly involved. I'll try to make it short in this conversation. One major bucket is the program management. So when we deliver the software, we say, let's sit down and how do you make this successful? Because it is a large enterprise implementation.
Right.
So under the program management, there is, let's have a very involved executive sponsor who really sets the direction of this program. Have a very empowered program manager. And the program manager is typically a vice president or director level who can really empower the business and the technical people to set that direction in motion. Very involved playbooks that identify what are the real process changes we need to put in place and how to put those changes in place, and then a real governance methodology, which is both meetings and written processes to identify the log jams and drive through those.
So that's really important. So you're not just providing a tool, you're actually kind of doing exactly what you're helping the utilities do. So at a business level, you're tightening the relationships, building trust, helping them be successful. So not just flipping the switch and saying good luck.
Not at all.
That's important these days, right? Because there's all kinds of interesting competition and not always the sense. I mean, utilities are now really looking for partners more than they ever have before. So I think what you're describing is a key part of that. But I want to know about some of these customers you're talking about. So I think you have a project with E.ON. Is that true?
We have a very large, successful project with E.ON.
Okay.
Yeah, we're doing business right now in Europe, in the UK, in France, in Germany, in Romania. We're talking to country organizations in 6 or 7 other countries right now. We're deployed at E.ON and EDF in multiple locations. But in E.ON in the UK, which is one of the bigger implementations in Europe, we started working with them in around 2014. And they have white labeled, as the term goes, our solution, which is what all our clients do.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. Okay, great.
Yes, and they call it My Energy Toolkit. And today they have well over 100,000 users, in the hundreds of thousands users, probably a better way to phrase it, with users with access to the solution. And they have done everything I just talked about from the program management. They've also done some very interesting things in the area of best practices. They've done a great job with their data management, really multiple sources of data and pulled it all together. They have done a lot in content management. They've put a tremendous amount of effort into understanding what needs to be done to pull the content together, make it meaningful and relevant to the client and keeping it fresh. And the other thing they've done very effectively is making sure that people know the site is there. The people, when they first rolled it out, and as they bring in new clients, and bringing people to the site in an effective manner. And the final result is
That's what I was just going to ask you about.
Yes,
Thank you.
is that we have metrics, very clear metrics, that show that people who use the site on a regular basis have energy savings of 11% and sometimes greater.
That's so, sustained energy savings has always been, kind of a troubling point of view. We didn't have enough information to know, how we were going to be able to adapt these tools. So we just have a minute or two left, and I want you to tell me, if you don't mind, what is the thing that gets you in the door with the utilities? There are a lot of different ways utility could go with their analytics platforms, their customer intelligence platforms. There are a lot of solutions out there, but what is it they hear from you that gets you talking to them and then ultimately being their provider?
Sure. At this point, it is a lot of what we've discussed. It's improving the bottom line, because of what they can sell in a much more cost-effective way, a much tighter relationship with the client, and the proof of what we've done so far because of our customer base and our success, both with the software and with our knowledge of how to run a program and how to implement best practices, and the large user community they would have with all the other utilities in the world using this solution. That's really what gets us in the door today. Okay,
that's excellent. So I want to thank Rick with FirstFuel joining us in the Engerati studio in 2016. I talked to you guys in 2015, and I hope to talk to you next year.
Thank you, Carol.
Take care.
Appreciate it.